Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm in a different spot because I'm currently moving out of a dorm for the last time in my life. Everybody clap and cheer. So this video is a little late. I apologize. It's finals week and I'm moving everything that I own. Um, but I'm still here to talk about books. I read 7 books in the month of April. So let's talk about them. The first book that I read this month was Anxious People by Fredrik Backman. This was my first Fredrik Backman. Obviously, everybody knows him. Seems like everybody loves him, especially, obviously, somewhat recently he has become well known for the Beartown trilogy. I had heard his, character development and his character dynamics were really special and well built out. They did not lie. This is true. Anxious People, amazing, gave it 5 stars. This is a book that is about, I would call it personally I would say it was a literary fiction. I feel like some people kind of call it a thriller. I don't really agree with that. I think people just call it a thriller because there is a hostage situation involved. Hostage situation, that's hard to say. Say that 5 times fast. But I don't think, in my opinion, that it was thrilling at all. I think it's a book about people. It's in the title. And I was just shocked. I didn't have any expectation going into it. I didn't know anything about his writing style other than the fact that I knew that he was really good at creating very fleshed out characters, which was very true for Anxious People, which, if I'm not wrong, is only maybe about 350 pages, and there's 10 different characters that we follow, and I did feel like I understood all of those people, all of their motives, their ways that they communicate with each other. I just thought it was fantastic, and I would highly, highly recommend it. I know that there are mixed opinions on where you should start with Fredrik Backman, but I decided to start with Anxious People because I had known about it for a very long time, and it had been on my list for a very long time. I know some people say to start with a man called Uva, but maybe I'll come to that one at some point. I'm kind of intrigued to read Beartown, but I've heard it's traumatic, so I don't know if I'm ready for that. Then I read Just Watch Me by Lior Torenberg. Fantastic. Again, by the way, let's actually start by saying, had a fantastic reading month. This was my best reading month, if not, definitely of this year so far, if not in my reading career. Really fantastic reading month. I gave Just Watch Me 4.5 stars. This is one of my most anticipated reads of the year. It just was so good. Classic unhinged woman. One of my favorite people on the internet is Frankie from Frankie's Shelf, and there's no one whose opinions I trust more about books. And they received an arc of Just Watch Me 6 months ago, and we're like, this was fantastic. And from that moment I said, okay, noted, gonna read that. So excited. So of course I did, and I was not let down. It was so crazy. It is about a woman who starts live streaming, not just live streaming, but a streamathon non-stop 24/7 because she's trying to raise money for her sister who's in a coma. And in order to do so, she starts progressively eating hotter and hotter peppers. And things get out of hand. That's all I'm going to say. Highly recommend picking that up. I'm really losing light here. Hopefully the sun does not go down before I finish filming. The third book that I read in April was You Did Nothing Wrong by C.G. Drews. And this was my second C.G. Drews. I read Hazelthorn and loved it. And then I really want to read Don't Let the Forest In. That's in my 26 to read in 2026. But I'm unsure if I want to wait until the fall. I'm really, really excited about Scorpion Deep. You guys, I'm so excited. I just bumped the microphone. I'm so excited. Let's talk about that cover reveal. Let's talk about that cover reveal. And let's also talk about how many books C.G. Drews is working on right now, how much is coming out. They're feeding. I'm so excited. So excited. Anyway, let's talk about You Did Nothing Wrong. I didn't rate this book, but I loved it. I would give it somewhere in the 4-star range because I think a book like this is kind of hard to rate. But I thought that the commentary about being a mother to a differently abled child was really, really powerful, and I think really honest in a way that not a lot of authors, I think, would be willing to do. But the horror aspects of this were fantastic. It is about a woman who is the mother of an autistic son, and she has been kind of swept off her feet by this American man. Did I say she was Australian? I think I did. Anyway, she's an Australian woman. They meet in Australia. He kind of sweeps her off her feet. They have a whirlwind romance, and her and her son move to Virginia into his like family heirloom home that he is fixing up. And things start to get a little weird in this house. Is it haunted? Is her son seeing things? Is she seeing things? Her husband certainly isn't seeing things. But I would highly recommend it. It was intense. That is not something that personally bothers me, but I would definitely say to look up trigger warnings for this novel if you are sensitive to any kind of child abuse or gore at all. I mean, I would say that's true for kind of any C.G. Drews novel, that they tend to have at least some kind of body horror element, which I love body horror, no complaints for me. But yeah, that was You Did Nothing Wrong by C.G. Drews. I really liked it. I thought it had really powerful commentary, and I thought that the horror aspects were really well done. And I also think that the dynamics between all of the different people in the novel were very interesting. Then I read The Martian, and you guys got a sneak peek if you watched my last video about my thoughts on The Martian. It was so good. 5 stars. 5 stars. 5 stars. I need to pick up Project Hail Mary, and I know not a lot of people talk about Artemis. I'll probably pick that up too, to be honest. I just don't believe that it could be bad. Not that I think people think it's bad, but I don't believe it could be bad. Because Andy Weir is a genius. He's a genius. Unpopular opinion alert. Andy Weir is a wonderful writer. Anyway, The Martian is about a man who gets stranded on Mars for a long time. A lot longer than you would think. A lot longer than you would think. He's stuck up there by himself. Lots of potatoes. Lots of potatoes going on. Highly recommend. Really, really easy to read. Like, I would say despite there being a lot of scientific language, it's not, like, esoteric. It is very consumable, accessible, and it's really funny. Like, you really want to root for this guy. You want to root for him. You're like, when's he getting off Mars? Is he going to live there forever? If he's going to be there forever, give me another book. That's how I felt. Anyway, that was The Martian by Andy Weir. And then I read The Wax Child by Olga Rabin. I also talked about this in my last video. Unfortunately, I was disappointed. This was an International Booker long list. Did not make the short list. I would love to read some more of those. I could do a video about that. It probably would not come out before it's announced. I don't know when it's announced. No idea. But maybe I'll do that because I really want to read some of those books very badly. But I don't know. It's in 2 parts, and it's narrated by a wax doll, and I think that that's a really, really interesting narrative choice. However, I think it was honestly quite confusing at the beginning, like to keep up with where the doll was, when the doll was, and I think that the second part was really good. The second part is when, I didn't say what this is about. Witches. It's about witches in Denmark, I believe. It's about the witch trials, and I think that when you get to part 2, and part 2 is where the actual trials begin, it really, like, was good. I liked that part, but I didn't, like, I honestly kind of felt like the first half was a slog. It was hard for me to get through. It's under 200 pages, and it took me, I think, like, a week and a half, if not 2 weeks, to get through, which for me is a long time. That's a long time for me to take to read a book that short, because I just didn't feel myself wanting to pick it up. It was just a little bit too dense for me. I gave it a 3.5 because the writing was still beautiful. Like, the writing was absolutely stunning. There are some unbelievable quotes from this book, but I just unfortunately didn't love it, and I really wish that I had. Beautiful cover, beautiful writing. The narrative was a little bit confusing, as a whole. That's my notes on that. And then I read Carnality by Lena Wolf. Wholly underrated. Underrated gem. Pick this up. Pick it up. I gave it a 4.5. This is about a woman who is a journalist, and she travels to Spain, and she meets this man in a bar, and he's like, something crazy happened to me. If you let me stay at your house, I'll tell you my story. She does. She lets this random man stay at her house. And his story is crazy. There's a TV show, like an underground black market TV show that he went on. There's a nun who's missing a finger. It's really, really good. And the first half of the book is written in third-person narrative, and then the second half is epistolary, and I loved that. I loved the way that the author decided to break up this story. I think the transition in not just, like, having alternating narratives, but having alternating narrative styles as well to tell the story was really fascinating. And the way that the characters interact in that second half, in that epistolary section, was so good. I could not put this down. I loved this, and I cannot believe that I have never heard anyone talk about it online, quite frankly. Like, I think I'm shocked the Weird Lit lovers are not picking this up. This is a weird girl book. This is a weird girl book. Give her her flowers. Anyway, how many times have I said anyway in this video? Take your guess. And then the last book that I finished in April was Almost Life. I can't remember this author's name. I'm so sorry. It's 3 words. There's 3 words. It's not coming. I'll put it on the screen. Well, the book's going to be on the screen. I don't have any of my books with me here physically because, like I said, I'm packing. But this was so good. It was so good. This was also one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and I gave it 5 stars. You guys, holy stats. I read 7 books, and 3 of them were 5 stars. I know what I like. Anyway, Almost Life is about a woman who lives in France named Lori, and a woman who is visiting France from England named Erica. And they meet and they have a whirlwind romance over one summer. And then Erica leaves, and the novel follows the saga of Lori and Erica over decades. And oh my god, sapphic yearning. Holy yearning. You guys, please pick this up, please. The emotional roller coaster that this novel took me on, you wouldn't even believe. You would not even believe. You wouldn't believe. I flew through this. It was so good. Again, I could not put it down. Theme of books for this month, couldn't put it down. Please read Almost Life. Get some queer love in your life. Whether it's in real life or in a novel, please read queer novels. Please. Especially when it's Grumpy Sunshine. This is not a romance book, by the way, actually. Not to confuse you by saying Grumpy Sunshine as in that it's a romance trope. It's not a romance book. This is a literary fiction drama, historical fiction with romance in it. And God, it's so sad. I'm just thinking, emotional turmoil. Oh my God. Okay, I need to wrap this up. The sun is leaving me. One note though. Amazing month. However, I did have a DNF, and I almost never DNF books because like I said, I know what I like. I don't tend to pick up books that I don't end up liking, quite frankly, which is why I feel like I have really high average ratings, because I'm not someone who, I know there are a lot of people online who are like, once I start a book, I have to finish it. Not I. Continue suffering. If I don't like that shit, I'm putting it down. Why would I continue to waste my time on a book that I just think I'm not going to like, that I think I'm going to give under 3 stars? Why would I read that? It would be one thing if it's like a book in a series. I get that. If you're like 4 books into a series, that's one thing. However, I started reading Picnic at Hanging Rock, and I just could not get into it. I'm going to try maybe pick it up again later this year. I think maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it. But I just, I don't know. It just wasn't clicking for me. And I just hit the microphone again. It just wasn't clicking for me. I didn't love it. So that's kind of sad, because that's on my 26 to read in 2026 and was on my spring TBR. But maybe we'll get to it in the summer. Maybe I'll try it again. I don't know, because again, it does take place in the summer, which I said in my last video that I had on my spring TBR, even though it is objectively a summer book. So maybe I'll read it over the summer. Maybe I'll try it again. But yeah, so this video looks like shit compared to my other ones. I'm sorry. It's a stressful time in my life, okay? But I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me yap. I was a lot less coherent, I think, in this video than others, but I think I got all my points across, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I will, I think, post a video about adaptations sometime this month. When, I'll keep you on your toes. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video. I don't want to beg, but please subscribe if you like me, if you like my face, if you like the books that I read, if you like my attitude. Please subscribe, comment, like the video, share the video. Anyway, have a wonderful day, evening, morning, afternoon, night, all the things.